Welcome everyone on today's webinar. We'll speak about Newired, about our new major version 2021. As a digital adoption platform for every competitive business and industry. The agenda is quite straightforward. Most of you who have joined this webinar very likely know a little bit about Newired already, or you are an active Newired customer. So we will keep the introduction really short, 1 or 2, 3 minutes, and then we will dive deep into what's new in our upcoming major version. We'll combine slides with a live demo. Together with me, my name is Jiří Valek. I'm a Vice President of Product Management at Newired. I have a colleague of mine, Gianluca Ippolito, a Product Manager for Newired. So he will be doing the live demo. And
hello,
I
everybody.
hope you'll have enough time at the end for the Q&A session. So let's just really start for those who know a little bit less about Newired, who we are. Our mission is to actually close or at least reduce the gap between technology, between the software and people, means us using the software applications, the digital technology. And why this matters? Because we really see that there is an expectation anytime you are rolling out a digital technology, and most of the time this expectation is actually not fulfilled. And if you actually ask yourself, why is it? What does it really mean? It means something that you see on the screen now. I mean that you need to make sure that the people understand how to use the products. They need to be trained, they need to learn it. But then they forget, actually we all forget, so we need to be retrained, and then there is a change of a process, of a tool, and then comes the frustration because something that was working before now doesn't work anymore. And exactly because of that, we have a product that is called Newired, that very likely most of you already know, that let you actually attach the interactive step-by-step tutorials, guides to any web-based application. So at the end, the users learn by doing. They're likely in the app, not miles away, and they can really learn when necessary. Today, our focus is not to actually demonstrate the product in general, but we want to focus on our new major version, which is called 21.0. As you can see on the screen, we release our major version once per year, usually at the beginning of the year. This time it's March 2021. And during the year, we have a couple of, let's say, minor/service releases. And as we follow the agile methodology, anytime a feature is developed, tested, verified, we release it during the year. So what you will see today, you might have already been even using if you are installing the new versions regularly. If you're on the small or slow side and you are still on the version 20.0, or we know that there are some customers on this webinar that have the version even 19.x, you will actually see all the features that are quite new to you. So first topic where we really spent significant effort and energy is to make the process of creating the journeys even simpler and even easier. And we know it's not always just about the features, but it's also about the look and feel, about how does the content actually stand out from the control panels, etc. So we also invested in a new refined design experience. And instead of speaking for slides, let me now make Gianluca a presenter, and he will actually show you the brand user interface and our famous in-place editing concept that makes the process of creating the journeys really straightforward and very easy. So I'll make Gianluca a presenter.
Yes, thank you, Jiří. Okay, so are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so what you see here is actually our editor, our new brand new editor, in which we gave a good restyle actually. So as you can see, we have changed colors overall. It has a much nicer and cleaner look, and all the functions in order to create and control and set up the journeys are now all solely located over this sidebar here and this option tab right here. So as you said, I would like to show you how great our in-place editing function is. So what I have here is just a simple demo of a few, just two journeys that we made over this Mattermost demo environment that I can just play around with you and show how this system is actually working. So I'll start from here. And from here, actually, let me just start from the other general overview. You can see that as the journey is previewing already on the editor, as we want to get the viewport inside the editor as close as possible as what we have as a in the deployed version for our users. We also have nicely the progress bar over here, but the only difference is that essentially whenever I'm hovering the buttons, the bubble over here, I will be allowed to either open the big editor that allows me to go to our older way of editing and accessing the content of the bubble. But I can also change transition directly from here. You can see I click here, I'm able to switch it to a different one. Now we only have two because this is a dialogue type of bubble. We have more in the other types of bubbles that I can show you. But I'm also able to simply edit my content just by tapping over here. So this actually enables us to simply and quickly really draft our journeys effortlessly without having to go inside and actually having to open this editor, start typing my content inside there, and then go back again. So this is really, we designed this to keep the continuation of flow for the content authors in order to create very smoothly at least a draft of the journey, which they can later on edit and add new content. But enough talk. I want to show you also this kind of nice journey, which is generally, as the name says, a general overview of what this Mattermost application does, which is simply a chat system for companies. We are briefly explaining inside here what are the basics of this page. As you see, this is one of our new additions of bubbles of type which we call panel. We'll check it later on, but this is one of the many additions and improvements that we actually did in our new editor. So yeah, as you see, this is simply highlighting some elements on the screen. We'll not go through all the long text here, but this is actually the official description from the current, from the actual Mattermost. That's simply brought in the guidance of Newired. So yeah, and again, we have a panel with some other nice description and images. And what we also have that I would like to show you is that over here, we can simply use our journey links to interconnect other journeys. So as soon as I'm done with the general overview, I'm already proposing to my user how to, to jump to another journey, which is the configuring notification, which we can see also later on. But how do we actually edit the journey? Let's simulate, for example, the creation of a simple channel. So I'll start creating my journey over here with a plus and just add a name. Let's call it create channel and click on save. the process is still straightforward. As I said, we have this kind of this panel, which is the new bubble, which is a new kind of step. But we also have our old callouts, which are the steps related to a specific element on the page, or the dialog, which is the higher, or the bubble which appears in the center of the screen. For now, we'll use just the callout to indicate that I want to create it over here. So click on plus. You want to say simply click here, so I can change my transition right from here. And you'll see how easy it is actually to even quickly fix my journey. I can move my bubble over here, drag it, and I'm actually I quite like it. So I have my transition. I don't need to go into the big editor. I can simply confirm my changes and proceed with that. So I'll simulate my step, and just to make it short, I'll just put another bubble over here to say click on create channel. Now, of course, we could go through each, and maybe we should by having each item described, and this perhaps requires a name, so maybe we should do that before. I can simply create a new step over here, so call out and say type the channel name. Okay, confirm my changes. Edit input is fine, as this is an edit box. We want to have the user just proceed inside the journey as soon as he starts typing. But hey, I just put my step after the final step, which is create click on create channel, right? That's absolutely no problem, as we are simply dragging it inside the order of our steps and the job's done. So we can already preview our journey just to check if that's fine. So 3 steps, click here, type the channel name, my new channel, and click on create channel. Now, we just did a very quick journey, which can highlight really how easy it is now to simply draft our new journeys. I guess that goes back to you, Iji.
Yes. Let me go and present my slides again.
Yes.
So now what's next? There's been a lot of additional features, functions, capabilities that we have, let's say, released over the year. So now I will just go through a couple of them, and then we'll ask Gianluca also to present a few more, let's say, features that that we have released. So we have more and more customers who actually manage a large amount of content with Newired. And you will see over the rest of our presentation today that we don't concentrate only on the process of creating the guides, but also about the process of so-called maintaining the guides, tips, tutorials, journeys, etc. I'll not demonstrate every feature that we have developed, so let me just mention a couple of them. First one is import and export. What we see is that it really is easy for us sometimes to help you create a couple of the journeys, and how we do it is that we support the import and export capability. So we or you can present the journeys and share it with anyone else, share it to any other system, etc. So we are not speaking about exporting it so your end users will be able to see it, but about helping content authors to just exchange the content and interact with each other, and let's say just send the journeys over the email or over the files as you like. As part of the maintenance, we also see that there are some, let's say, technical concepts that we need to embrace more. You know that we provide capabilities to manage the content translations, so you can translate the content into any different any language, more or less, and manage these content translations. But again, we have customers who do have a large amount of languages supported, like 15 simultaneous languages in a single moment. And for that, we have also implemented a way for so-called active multi-language switching. So what you can do now is that the translation is not selected manually per user choice, but it is really based on the user localization settings of his or her computer, of the browser localization, or even based on the language of your target application. Second, now is the support for so-called OEMs. This name might be a little bit misleading for you. The principal characteristic, though, is very straightforward. There are software clients and software vendors. We have customers that are strictly the clients, the users of the software that they bought from the independent software vendor. Then we have clients that are strictly the software vendors. They just sell the software they produce. And then actually there is pretty large amount of customers who actually also have some homegrown applications. So actually it's a software client, but with the homegrown application. So this application, it often, let's say is really something very custom being maintained by the client. Anytime you actually have your own developed application, if you are a software vendor, OEM partner to us, or simply a client that has a homegrown application, you very often need to, let's say, develop your journeys over development environment, and then you want to publish the content on the production site. There can be multiple production sites. So if you're a software vendor, you may have the applications running on the different URLs. Each client of yours have a dedicated URL, and from this point of view, the journeys should be actually independent on the so-called tenant or on the final URL. And that's kind of a technical topic, but I can just reassure you that we have really analyzed all the use cases related to the so-called relative URLs. And with the current version, we really provide flexibility for you to develop journeys once on a development environment. And then when you are actually publishing them, you have a control to actually configure on which final URL the journeys are actually deployed or executed. So no matter if you are really an OEM partner for us, just using journeys to help your business, or if you are developing your homegrown application in-house, the relative URLs are a great help. We suggest you that you will schedule a call with us and we will dive deeper into all these deployment options, and we will suggest a proper use of these so-called relative URLs. We are close to the second live demo part, which are the non-blocking panels. What is this non-blocking panel? We'll have Gianluca actually presenting it partially again, because we have seen this panel already. It's about the fact that there are situations that the step-by-step instructions, I mean these callouts that points to a specific elements, are tricky to maintain or to even define, because very often you may have use cases that are strictly not sequential. So you want to guide your people to actually have a sales call with your client, and during the sales call you want to have a panel on the screen that suggests the instructions, and as the sales call evolves, you want them to track some of the information on the screen. That's, for example, the use case that I love. But let's again invite Gianluca for a stage, and he will tell us a little bit more again about the live panels or panels in general.
Yes, okay. So I'll share again my screen. Let's go back into one of our journeys before, or actually, you know, let's simulate again our create channel. Okay, so I'll go here and create my channel, a new channel again, my new channel. Okay, and complete it. So now I will create my new channel it probably makes sense right now as a design pattern for this specific journey to use a panel. Why is that? Right now we need to like conclude the journey, right? We can either have it quite simple, saying, hey, we just stop the journey after you click the create channel and leave the user be without any other additional or contextual help. But a panel is a nice way to say, for example, what's next, or we can say, congratulations, your channel has been created. Okay, what can you do next? And over here, we could propose, for example, additional journeys. Now, in our case, we have these other two journeys, which is the overview and the notification button. Well, the notification journey, which we can also check. Yeah, I think it's a quite nice journey. But over here, and I need to open my big editor in order to create journey links, I can simply propose my next steps to the user. Okay, so I say, okay, so propose to me the general overview. I also want to put it in the center, and again, propose to me the configuring notification. Okay, so my user, as soon as he finishes his channel, you can simply interlink him with new stuff to do. The great thing is, and by the way, you can also just simply resize this as you want. We may want to have it minimal, right? Because the very best thing about the panel is that as the user has finished the process and it has this window on, he can do anything he wants. He can go even outside of his new channel. He could even go to another site. The panel will still stay there and be only useful whenever he needs it. So the main difference between a dialog and a panel is that the dialog will be overlaying in the center, and that blocks everything else of the kind of interaction the user can do. Whereas the panel, it's actually helping the user, like is still enabling the user to just go around every part he wants of the journey or even the site and do and kind of giving him additional optional information which he can use or not. I mean, you can also just decide to quit the journey and that's that. But this is not blocking our users. So you could imagine, for example, also to have this panel just simply automatically playing for the user. So suppose the same kind of panel, okay, or the same kind of pattern saying perhaps welcome, okay. So instead of having congratulations here, we would say welcome to our environment X, whatever, any kind of environment. Would you like to start some guidance? So this journey with a single panel can start just automatically as the user comes inside the application, and it would have all the list of all the available processes it can do. By doing this, we are empowering even more our launcher to say, hey, you don't actually need to click over my triangle, or by the way, any kind of type of launcher, as right now we are also able to integrate the launcher inside your own application, so that perhaps I could start my launcher by clicking this help button, which is embedded into their application. But we are already actually proposing automatically the user so that it feels more organic guidance, and the user gets automatically started without even the need of telling them, hey, there is some contextual help. If you want to look for it, just go here and check your journeys, because that's the usual standard type of contextual help. We want to be more proactive, right? Now, before going again to, and maybe I can also show that which is one of the other difference from of panels. We can also, so dialogues are in the center of our screen, right? The position of the panel is dictated by one of the four corners. So I can also take this and drag it over any of the other corners. This is mainly based on it most likely shouldn't be over some other elements of the screen. So it doesn't need to be annoying for the user. That's why we're still giving you some kind of flexibility. So yeah, before jumping again to back to EG, I would like to show you this other journey, which is the configuring notification. And this is another, more complex. It's not displaying an overview of the environment, but we're already saying a specific case to the user, which, sometimes, for example, taking Mattermost, it can become annoying to have notification settings, or you want to really to set it for your actual needs. So this journey is essentially providing you an example of what are the desktop notification of your Mattermost environment, and then they are guiding you interactively into the settings to simply change all of your notifications. So based on your needs, it's a nice example of a very specific journey, which has different outcomes. Okay, because for example, for me, I want to get all of the notification. Perfect. I will set this one. I actually don't want anybody to just. I don't want to be annoyed, so I will put it to never. I can do that, but anyhow, regardless, the journey will still work, and I can click on save, and again, we can have finish or wrap up. Hey, all set. Would you like to see another journey? So you can actually daisy chain each journey so that the user is never taken out of the loop and always gets new content, new processes to understand, of course, until ideally he knows all about the application. So yeah, that's all. Again,
Yep.
back to you.
Yeah, I think this was a great example of also how well this inline editing environment works. We have seen this. Let's see how quick and simple was it to add those panels into the existing journey. So let me share my screen and let's continue about what's new for the version 21.0. There's one feature similar to the support for these relative URLs. As you see that we are mixing the features that are very visual, very up to the user, let's say, to provide more rich and simple content, with the features that are more technical and more, let's see, about the way how robust our technology is. The robustness is something that we continuously improve, and by robustness we mean basically two important qualities. One quality is that the journeys must be stable. So if you create a content today, we want to make sure that in tomorrow or even up to 6 months, the journeys will still continue to work, no matter that the target application is changing, no matter that there is a new version of the browser, etc. But at the same time, the robustness for us is that our technology really works with any web application. And this is a bold statement that Newired works with any application. And some of you like us to be really transparent and tell you which of the constructions we do and we do not support. And in the past, one of the topics that we said that we don't really support to the full extent was a support for applications that were hosted in so-called iframes. The iframe is a technical concept that actually allows you to embed one web application in the other. And we were not, let's say, supporting the scenario that a Newired would be deployed into the application that runs in the iframe, which sometimes you may ask, why is that important? But in reality, this is a valid concept, and we have seen applications that were affected and we did not support them well in the past, which is not true anymore, and we do support iframes not just iframes, but applications deployed into the iframes in a full extent. The second quite technical topic, but still important, is about our deployment options. So as you know, Polarion can be deployed on premises or in a dedicated cloud that we managed for you. What we had in the past was a support for so-called cluster deployment in our cloud infrastructure. We now enable also the on-premise customers to benefit from the potential cluster setup. We remind everyone that this is mostly for customers who really have, let's say, more than 200,000 users. We really have a huge deployments with lots of users. And then, let's say, the cluster starts making some sense. If you have really less than 100,000 employees, it's for me a little bit of the overkill. But maybe your IT department really requires the cluster deployment. So if you need to deploy Polarion in the high availability cluster, let us know, and we will share the guidance with you, and we are sure that we can, let's say, help you to deploy Newired in a cluster. We are almost to the end of our presentation, but we still have two more things to come. The first one is we are also making a lot of journeys for our customers, and we know how important is it to do regular reviews. So to go through the journeys, and you know, sometimes sometimes the VPN is not available. Sometimes you just want to do a quick review, and you don't want to show the journey live. You just want to present quickly what did you do. And because of that, we have invested our time to actually combine the live previews with the recorded screenshots. It's not just for being able to review the journey quickly and easily with anyone, but it's also very useful in the case that, for example, you run a journey and then it breaks for whatever reason. Maybe the target application has changed so much that something is not visible on the screen at all, and now you want to remember what was this step about, but you don't see it anymore because the application has changed. This is exactly another reason where the screenshots have makes a big sense that help you to remember what was the right, let's say, implementation. But actually, the reason why we are taking the screenshots was actually different. And the main reason why we have invested in this, let's say, capabilities to record the actual snapshots on how the system works live in this persistent way was that we understand there are some more advanced scenarios that you need to follow. There are a couple of these scenarios. The first one is testing. You create your journeys and you want testers to go through it and validate whether it works as expected. And now the question is, what is as expected? What you can do now, you can export your full site into the Word document, give it to your testers, and tell them, please validate that over each supported browser, this journey works as here you can see in this Word file. Or translations. You can imagine that you have a translation department that translates the journeys from English to Spanish. But the translators receives the content. But for translators, it's always important to understand the context. So what you give them now is the set of the XLib files with the content, and also this Word file where they see how the journey actually behaves easily. And last but not least, approvals. You draft your content, you submit it for review, you export it to Word, you perform the review. Once you actually confirm that the journey really works as expected, you can approve this document, sign it in your document management system, and finally publish the change as live. And that's the last thing what we have prepared for you today to demonstrate is this new capabilities for the, let's say, screenshots and export to Word. There is more to come, like APIs and plugins again, but now in the final break, let's ask Gianluca to concentrate mostly on the slideshow and export to Word capabilities.
Let's do it. I'll take it. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we are again into our lovely journeys over here. Now, I would like perhaps to see, let's suppose that a colleague of mine made this configuring notification, okay? And I don't want to go through the journey actually. I don't actually want to simulate it over the screen, because that would just make, or maybe this is quite long. Now, this is not a long journey, but let's suppose it is, and I want to save some time. As I'm hovering my elements over here, I'm able, or my steps over here, I'm able to already quickly preview what is the journey going to be about. So this quick review is simply enabling me to see, oh, okay, so like what's the general feeling about this step? What does it do? Where is located? Of course, I am also able to open the bigger preview for this journey. So I may want to show this already to one of my colleagues. Hey, please take a look at this configuring notification. What do you think? And you know, by just clicking over this button over here, you would jump into this slideshow presentation, which is going to show me each zoomed screenshot of what the actual process will look like. So I'm able to perhaps start discussing with my colleague, saying, "Oh yeah, I like this step. I like this other one," and I could already start taking some notes, because then maybe I need to go back and rework a bit my configuring notification here. So now let's suppose a third case in which I want to perhaps, and maybe before jumping to the actual export, I want to show you how are these screenshots generally taken. So the product is actually automated for this. So I'll create a dialog, which I think is the only one we didn't create today, but I can say, welcome everybody, okay? And maybe, yeah, let's confirm changes. I just simply created my steps, okay? I confirm changes, and my screenshot is missing. So what I can do is simply start my step, and come over here and just simply take the screen over here by just clicking my camera icon. As you can see, now this has taken the step. This usually sometimes happens if the screenshot is not taken automatically. The screenshot can be taken automatically just by, let's say I want to create a call out over here and say this is my new channel. And if I just simply click over here, so outside of my bubble, this should, as you can see already, automatically take my screenshot and say, and so that this is also quite automated. Now, of course, maybe before jumping into the export, it would be a good idea to come over my journey over here with a quick review, or the slideshow, if you want to be more precise, or throughout, to check if there are all the screenshots, or if the screenshots are also up to date. And once I made sure, and as I showed you, you can retake screenshots eventually if you see some mistakes, so you make sure that all the information are correct. Once I do that, we have our third case. So I want to share the set of journeys that I just made to my manager. So first thing we need to do is, I need to move these webinar options here, to set all my journeys to active. Okay, so I will set also this one to active, and I will go into my portal. Now, once I am inside my portal, I need to create a version. Okay, so I will create my version, which can be published directly live, but let's suppose that I'm just, because I want to follow all my corporate procedures, I am simply going to create the submit for review, which is going to create the version but not put it live. And then over my version number 2, I'm going to click these 3 buttons here and click export review. Now the portal is going to generate docx, which can be opened with any kind of docx editor, and it should work with pretty much anything. But as you can see now, if I click this file and I'm just using WordPad over here, it's going to have all of the information about my specific version I selected. So all the journeys with all the content is going to appear over here. You can see I have my bubbles here with the type of step, the kind of transition, if there is any kind of information about it. So, you know, also the step content over here, so that I really can share it outside of the product. So I just share this as an email. Hey, please check this set of emails. We could eventually, as you just said, also share it to my translation team as they are able to get the content, also check the preview with a screenshot, and really try to contextualize it its best, also the translation. But this is, I think, very, very easy for people to just handle to somebody else, to have the journeys check without having to go inside perhaps the VPN and access the application and then jump to the journeys and actually doing the journeys. It's something which we are aware that it's really needed sometimes in some of the operation of corporate. So this is our feature, and yeah, hope you liked it. So back to you again, Iji.
Yeah. So now let's just wrap up where we are. So let's say what we have seen are most of the new major features in our new major release, Newired 21. The user guidance and onboarding that just works. As you know, we concentrate on simple and robust content. Security and privacy, you have seen that we also continue to invest into improving our on-premise versus AIM cloud deployment options. We still expand on our publishing workflows today with the reviews and approvals and testing of your content, let's say with the support of word export, within options for multi-application support, multi-language support, etc. We still have a couple of minutes for Q&A session. So I will have a look, what questions have been actually asked so far, and we can go through it. The first question was, can we also deploy the journeys with relative URLs using browser extension? Yes, and there are some minor differences if you use the snippet injected into the target application versus if you use the browser extension to show the content. But on your question whether the the relative URLs are supported, absolutely yes. So you can have your journeys created over an environment A, over the URL A, and then deploy it independently on any web application. You just need to configure the browser extension to be used on domain A or domain B, and we provided options to do it. So yes, this is supported. Are the screenshots ever taken on the client or visible to the client? I guess the question here is the client means the end user. So you know that there are two major personas that uses the Newired interface. The first one is the so-called content author, so the one that is using the Newired editor to produce the content. And the other persona is the actual end user who is consuming the guidance, who is actually just using the browser to browse the target application to see the actual content. And if the question is if the screenshots are actually anytime taken on the client side computers in the browser, the answer is absolutely no. You take the screenshots only in the editor, And just for your information, this feature is actually optional. So if for whatever reason you wouldn't like the screenshots to be taken, you can disable it, but we highlight it's just on the client, or on the just on the in the editor, and it's visible only to the content authors. The end users will never ever have the access to the screenshots that are taken in the editor. Can I export to PDF? No, in the current moment you cannot export to PDF, but Microsoft Word allows you to save the Word file as PDF. So if you really need to have the PDF documents, we suggest you export to Word, click on the Save as PDF button, and you have your PDF file. It's that simple. Can I put a picture into the step or tip? Yeah, I mean, we've been showing you today a lot about this in-place editing that is really simple and straightforward, but we still keep, Jelenka was showing that, this fully featured editor. So we still have an option for you to, of course, put the videos or pictures into the steps and tips. Are the Newired tips exported to Microsoft Word? Yes, so we have seen in this demo that we are exporting the journeys with all the steps and all the screenshots. We have absolutely the same functionality for Newired tips. So if you are using Newired tips, you export the site into this document. You have both. You have the tips and steps exported as well. And by the way, if you use multiple translations, you can also just decide if you want to, what languages do you want to export, and if you want to have a file per language, or if you have just one file with all the languages. It's up to you how do you structure it. I've heard about Newired API. Is this officially released? Yes, so we have spent time on providing a technical API to actually control the flow of the journeys, or even, as Gianluca already said, also to integrate this kind of the help launcher into the target application menu, for example. We have this API available. It's still kind of a work in progress. So with every release, we make the APIs more strong. That's why we don't, let's say, publish that officially. And but we already have, let's say, an early adopters of this API. So if you are really looking for the Newired API, let us know, and you'll definitely share the documentation with you. Are the Newired themes backward compatible? Yes, so we have seen that there is a new design language applied to our editor. So the editor is now reworked with this dark user experience that you have, let's say, a very visual content, your browser, your journeys, your apps, but then you have the Newired panels, these sidebars with the list of journey steps, etc., in this dark theme. But this is totally independent to the, let's say, to the style of the overlay. So let's say what we changed is the Newired editor application, but the way how your journeys look like is absolutely independent on how the editor actually look. So you can have the blue journeys or green journeys or dark journeys or whatever, let's say, theme you like. And of course the theming is definitely backward compatible. So if you have designed your custom theme, you can still continue to use it with the Newired 21.0 because everything is backward compatible here. It's likely the time to close this webinar. I'm sure that you will have more questions to ask. Please send us an email, chat with us on our website. The Newired 21.0 will be released at the end of March. We will help each and of you actually to to adopt the new version, because we strongly recommend you to install it. Not just because of all the new features that we have been, let's say, announcing today, but also due to the number of quality improvements, bug fixes that we have did over the last 12 months. So we definitely strongly recommend to install the new version. Thank you very much for your time. If we haven't answered any of your questions, we'll definitely follow up on that over the email. Have a great day, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody.